Hello guys. Welcome to our new Tuesday live on Studio R12. You got Kari and you got Patty today. So we are going to wait just a couple seconds, let some people pop on. Let us talk real quick about the new format. So in the past we have done tutorials and we've done whole projects, but after talking to everybody, you guys really wanted some in-depth questions. You wanted us to be able to actually show you what you are wanting. So that's what we are here to do.
And it also means that when we post new projects, like this project will be posted on YouTube on Saturday. This project will have none of the chatting and the questions and the liking and sharing and any of that clouding it. So it'll be a straight up just project video, and that will clean that up and make it much easier to understand when you're going back to go paint. So make sure that you go over to YouTube and like our channel and hit the bell, or hit the, subscribe, then hit the bell once you subscribe.
Yes.
So we look forward to seeing you on YouTube. So we're gonna do a little bit of both. Facebook is gonna be this kind of like real-time asking questions, and YouTube is gonna be for like the nitty-gritty content.
All right, we got some people on. We have Glynis and Carol and Denise are all on, joining us today live. Okay, so I think we can go ahead and get started. And before we get too into it, I'm going to want to let you know we're going to have some giveaways.
Some amazing giveaways. So we are going to give away a stencil to everybody that asks a DIY painting question in this live. So you will get a stencil if you just ask something you're curious about, and that way we get a lot of questions so that we can answer these questions. We don't want to be here answering things live if nobody's going to ask any questions. So we want questions. If you ask a question, then we'll message you. We'll be able to message you, and then we'll be able to send us your address, and then we'll send you out your free stencil. So lots of giveaways, big potential. You only get one. So even if you ask 100 questions, you don't get 100 stencils. And then we're going to do a drawing. And so tomorrow morning, you'll want to pop in to see if you were the lucky winner for one of our dome brush sets. So that'll be our grand prize.
Yep, and that's going to be from a question too. So somebody is going to win not only a stencil, but also a set of dome brushes for asking questions. And we have a new viewer with us today. Tiffany commented and said this is her very first time on live. Welcome, Tiffany. We're excited to have you here for our first different live.
New format. So if we're stumbling around a little bit, that's because we're not used to it yet. So we'll get our sea legs coming up. Yep. We do have a question for you. What's in your tumbler right now at lunchtime? We are celebrating Christmas with our back wall, and we might have some jingle juice in here.
Yes, we're cheersing. We're cheersing. We're starting a new format, and we're going to make this Wine Tuesday, or whatever's in your tumbler. But now you know what's in ours. And I do want to say, let's see. Glynis asked if this project is going to be a bundle. Yes, it will be a bundle. It will be made live on our website on Friday, and then the video will be released on Saturday.
Can I chat about that for just a second? So when we are looking at this project, I want to point out that you don't have to stencil to do this. You can do whatever artwork you want on top, but the background is kind of the lesson here. It's a really easy technique. So that's Saturday morning. What time?
I think early.
Like 6 a.m. or something like that. So anyway, but the background would translate into any art project. So that is really important. And then we do a lesson in how to do drop shadow in here, and also some palette knife smudgery. So, and then it's a 3D piece, so it has extra parts on top. So that's what's special about that project. We always try to do our projects where there's like a nugget of something to chew on in them, so that it's not just a boring project. So, shall we?
Yes, let's get started.
So today we are going to start with the impossible colors. Okay, so we have.
Main camera.
Okay, we have red. We're coming into the red season, right? And so red is one of my impossible colors. Okay, so what we've done today, we're going to talk about undercoating and and doing some masking of things. So I've got my sample board here, and I also, yellow is another, these are my impossible colors. I don't know if you've ever noticed this. You're base coating, you're doing red. You can't get yellow to cover and you can't get red to cover. So we've got a couple of hints and tricks. And then we are going to, after that, I'm going to show you how to varnish and finish your projects. And you want to stick around to the end because I'm going to do something with varnish that you're going to think would be an impossible thing to do. So make sure you stick around and see what that is, because it is really a cool trick. And when I learned it the first time, I was like, oh, mind blown. Okay, so here we go. What I've done here is I've taken a regular board. Okay, so I've got a regular piece of 2x4, and I base coated with just the one coat of the red, base coated with the burgundy. I've got a dark red and a light red. The brighter your color, the more impossible it's going to be. So the dark is actually, well, it's pretty sheer. The reason that is the red pigments and the yellow pigments are expensive. So the paint companies put filler in there, or they thin them out, or whatever like that. So it's just a cost savings kind of thing, but it makes it difficult if you want to base coat with a yellow or something. And then on this one, I did a base of gray, a medium gray, and I did gray on here, one coat, and then this is a second coat. And what's interesting to me is, let me get that, I don't know if that's glaring, but it looked glary to me. This coat right here just on the plain piece of lumber, because this is a way lighter color than this MDF, and I'll show you the other side of that. So this translated a little bit better to me, but this color definitely is not so sheer. You're seeing all the background knots and grains and all that stuff still. So this was definitely a better result here, doing an undercoat of gray first. Okay, and then coming over here, this is what MDF coloring is. And there's a whole lot of that like blue strand stuff going on here. So that is showing up in my base. And so this is my plain, and this is my second coat. The second coat looks pretty good. This one definitely needed to be undercoated with the gray, because this is just still showing every little strand and all of that. I don't know that that's going to translate on the camera. But then, Kari, you know what I've done? I have left the egg stencil out in the other room. Would you grab that?
Yes, I will go grab that.
Okay, so what I've done here is I've based, so a lot of times when you are doing your stenciling, that's when you really run across this problem. The base coat's not so much. So I based in black, I based in white, and then I decided to go ahead and add the yellow in as well. So I have a coat of the dark, a coat of the light, and then this is the gray coat, and then I'm going to show you how that bases. So we'll go ahead and grab the dome brush, and I got my awesome Farm Fresh egg stencil.
And we're going to do a project on that coming up very soon. So you guys will want to make sure you stick around to watch that.
That's going to be a crackle project. So that will be a very interesting thing. A lot of people are afraid of crackle. And I love crackling. Okay, so we'll tape in 2 spots. And then we're going to go over, grab a paper towel. Those of you who are new to our dome brushes, if you are here on this live and you love these dome brushes, if you wouldn't mind, give us a little heart, a little whatever the emoji that you love. These are magic brushes. They just do their job.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you while we're doing this.
Go ahead. That's what we want. We want to be interrupted the whole time.
Keep asking questions. So I do have one that I'm going to bring to you later. But first, Carol wants to know, what is the best color to base coat red if you're putting it over blue?
I would still do the gray. Absolutely would do the gray in every. So the gray doesn't change the color of the red. The gray covers. So gray is basically, let's go here. Gray is black and white mixed together, and then you get a nice medium color gray. Don't do dark, don't do light. You want to do just a medium coat, and then that will take your blue away, and then it will neutralize. So I don't know if you can see here. Let's go back up here. If you notice, I did one dusty coat of the gray, and it's just neutralized that background, okay? And then here on the white, the same thing. White and black are your extremes.
Okay, and I have one more. Peggy wants to know, do you seal the wood first?
You know what? I used to be a big old wood sealing crazy woman. Everything had to be sealed. I'm painting a lot on MDF these days, and MDF is got so much hard glue substance in it that you really kind of don't need to. And paint has a little bit of sealer in it anyway. And this is just acrylic paint. We buy it in bulk and put it in the honey bottles, so just FYI, and we'll have a link below in the stuff so that you can go and find them. Pardon me. Now what I want to show you is this is one coat of the burgundy, this is one coat of this like fire engine red color. I want to show you what it does when we go on the gray. Okay, so we'll go with the dark first, and then I'll also do a second coat on the bottom of this with the same colors so you can see what a second coat looks like and we can compare. Okay, so we'll go here and I'm just swirling, and so notice I came over on my paper towel. If you're new, Tiffany, you were new. If you're new, then you want to make sure that you're wiping off all the excess paint. If you don't wipe it off, then you're going to bleed under and then you're going to have a mess, and then you have to clean it up and then all the things.
Okay, so I'm going to tell Judy asked if we seal the project after it's finished. Judy, stay tuned. That is part of our lesson today. We are going to cover different products that you can use to seal.
All of these things right here.
And how you do it and when you're going to want to choose which one. So we will be covering that soon, so stay tuned.
All right, so let's take a look. Well, let me get the other red one done. Go up here. I like the big dome brushes myself until I get into tight spaces, and then if I have tiny detail and tight spaces, that's when I usually go into the smaller brushes. Make sure if you like the dome brushes, once again, supply chain, you're hearing that in the news everywhere. I've never dealt with it as much as we're dealing with it this year. We've ordered extra of everything. And we literally went through our whole entire everything that we carry, and we ordered like triple, quadruple of everything, which is probably making the supply chain worse. Sorry. But we want to make sure that you guys can get what you want. Okay, so I'm going to pull this back and we can take a look and see what we think. I think that this is a really important foundational lesson because, oh, I didn't do this yet. Let me do that real quick. Sorry, Rusty. I'm going to do the bottom of this and show you what two coats, because now I've done a coat of gray and a coat of red on there.
And while Patty is talking about doing that second coat, I want to remind you, if you are just popping on, we are going to have giveaways for today's live, and how you enter to win a giveaway is to ask a stencil, craft, painting type of question. And everybody who asks a stencil-ish type question, you are going to get a free stencil. We are going to go select random stencils. Everyone will get one. We will message you and get your address. And then tomorrow, everybody who asks a question, we will draw one winner to get a set of dome brushes. So some lucky winner is going to get a stencil and a set of dome brushes.
All right, so this is what has happened. We've got two coats of our red, still very dark and does not translate into their subsequent colors. So we still are a long way away. Now this looks kind of pink. So, ooh, is that really a good idea? Well, let's go one more coat and let's take a look. Line it up. How many of you are finding this interesting? I think that this is one of those things you don't even know you should ask about. We dry it real quick. And I think you'll see some magic happening right about this coat.
And we do have a question asking, what other colors would you undercoat gray with?
I would do gray undercoat with, so all of these things that are electric. So any of your electric colors I wouldn't use gray for yellow because it will turn it kind of a muddy color. So I'm going to show you what I used, this kind of creamy color, and I'll tell you why. Something with white in it is a good undercoat color. All right, so I'm going to go here with our next coat, and you'll notice I'm doing really light coats, and they are drying really quickly. And sometimes when I want my paint to stick or be heavier, I'll stipple. The swirling is super thin, super fine. All right, so I'm going to go there, and then I'll switch to my bright red.
Now we had someone who recently did a Halloween project, and they did a black background and then they did purple over top of it. And we had told them, what color did you tell them to base that purple with so that it would pop?
I think we did a lighter purple.
I think it was
Is it gray?
it might have been gray. I think it was
Gray would work, but a lighter purple with white in it So they were on a black background and they had like dark purple over black. Okay, and you can see that that's not very big. If you ever want to know about your contrast, squint at it with your eyes, kind of squinty. And then if you can't tell the difference between the two colors, they're too close in darkness. So if you took a lighter purple or a gray, this is too light. Ooh, this one. This would be a good one. Because this is just kind of like a muddy gray, a muddy gray purple. And so that would work really well. Okay. So back to our second coat, and then we're gonna move up to the white color. All right, so see what we've got here. Oops, throwing our stencils around. And so, speaking of throwing your stencils around, we're gonna throw out a lot of stencils to you guys, not throw them out, but give them away. Everybody that asks the question, DIY, make sure you ask, and we are gonna answer your questions. And we just wanna know what you wanna know. So ask a question, get a free stencil. What a deal. Okay, so see how bright those look. They are already in their category that they should be in. I could stop right after this and I would feel satisfied with that. So a couple of coats. You're gonna work harder at this. You probably would have to go to 5 coats if you didn't undercoat. And sometimes you have to go beyond. So now let's move up to our white. And then don't forget, those of you who are just hopping on, we are gonna talk about varnishing and finishing your projects after I get done showing about undercoating. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go at the bottom of these with the colors, and then I'm gonna do it all over. I'll have to hop into the blow dryer with this so that I get a whole coat of these dry. So that'll take just a second. Then I wanna show you yellow next.
All right, and then let me see. I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
We have a question from Connie asking what kind of paint is the best to use for stenciling?
Okay, any kind of paint is good. I'm not actually sure about oil paint because that would just smear and stay wet. We actually, show you a quick little thing, speaking of reds. When we painted this is actually not paint at all, it's actually chalk. We sharpened our chalk and then we just went in the line, so you can use color pencils, you can use chalk, you can use pencil, you can use mediums, you can use glitter, you can use varnish. Varnish is really cool. It just does a tone on tone. If you ever want to do a wall and really get some sass, you put a stencil on a wall and you put a little varnish on it, and then it's shiny and it catches the light, but it's not really a color, it's like embossed. It looks really cool. Anyway, so you can use any medium. Okay, so we're gonna go finish the top of this one. Did the bottom of that. And now I need to hit it with the blow dryer, and then we'll get the second coat and move on to yellow. All right, who's got questions? Because we've got stencils we want to send you.
All right, so while you're doing yellow, Amy wants to know what's the best way to use a sponge to stencil if you don't have a dome brush. So I'm going to start on this one. So at our little boutique in Galveston, Ohio, we have little kids that come, and sometimes the brushes are too big, so we have little makeup sponges that we use, and we use them the same way that we do with our brush. You're going to load your paint on, and then you're going to go over to your paper towel and you're going to offload it so that it's not really goopy, because the sponge is going to pick up a lot of paint. And then once you get it offloaded, then you can sponge onto your project. And we also use daubers, rollers that are going to be the same thing, but you're going to want to make sure that you offload it just like you do with your brush.
Yeah, and we will link to a video. There's a video on YouTube. I don't know how it works when we're doing these. Is it still linking and we're still throwing links in?
I'm still throwing stuff in.
Okay, and so there's a video that we've done that is using a roller, and so that is a really interesting one. And we don't usually use the makeup sponges. You can. You go into your paint, and then you want to come over here and you want to really press off onto your paper towel and then go here. It's like futzier. So if you can, right now you could just use the makeup sponges and get started. But then I definitely recommend, with my whole entire heart, the dome brushes. The flat stencil brushes kick paint under because they're flat, and so the skirt of the edges of the brush just kind of press under as you're pouncing and doing that. And then because they're so flat, they don't really have any place to get any purchase to swirl. And I think that might be why I've never swirled before I had dome brushes, because you can't. It doesn't work very well. This is optimal, and then flat brushes, less optimal, and then makeup daughters less. And then right down here, there's some scrapbooking daubers that look like this. And looking for the round one. I don't know if we have a round one here.
We cleaned them all last
These, yeah, these work really well, and they're reusable. And you just go over here and then you press. But notice that they're domed as well. So everything that works perfectly is all domed, and that's because you don't want to push anything underneath. Okay, so let's go here and let's take a look at our second coats of our eggs on white. So undercoating with gray. You can see that this is very orange looking, and this is okay. I don't think that I would undercoat this color, but absolutely your electric colors, you want to undercoat those. Okay, so now let's go to yellow, and you can see here I've undercoated this with this cream color. It's a creamy yellow. We just know that it base coats really well. And then we top coated with this, and you can see that the top coat is just transparent. Anything that's highly pigmented like that, the electric blues, the electric greens, electric yellow, red, excuse me, orange, those all should be undercoated. Okay, so we're gonna go up to our yellow, and I'll put a second coat on both, and you can compare them.
Wayne is watching, and Wayne was the one who had the Halloween.
Yay, Wayne!
And he said it was gray. He used gray.
It was
on
gray,
his,
okay.
And that made it pop.
Thank you, Wayne.
Donna asked, what are your thoughts of using a spray adhesive to hold your stencil in place?
So I used to do that all the time, and then storage becomes just like a monster issue because it's difficult to get off. You can use some hand sanitizer, sometimes that works, anything alcohol based, to get that off the back. I only use, I wonder if we have it down here, yeah. I use this little adhesive guy right here, and it's on a little strip tape. It's from the scrapbook world. And I just, when I have big open holes, straight lines are a nightmare to stencil. So I just run a bead of that skip bead and then press it on my piece and go from there.
I'll share that link.
Yeah, and then the storage, when we've done, I've buried my books here. I've got examples that I want to show you later. Let's get under here and go.
But we typically will just end up using a tape to tape down both sides of the stencil.
Yeah, so just tape in two places, but this is one that has been, that has adhesive. Okay, so you can see that I'm adhesing. Okay, so that this would be awful. Have we done this one
Yes, that
yet?
one is live.
Okay, this one is on YouTube. And this one you take and make one way with the pattern, and you tape it down, do your color, flip it the opposite way, and it makes the best plaid. But this is in this book, this storage system, which they're just little, the disc rings, and you can just pull your stencil, pull your stencil out, and it's just got these little punches, which we will link below. So we've got a little punch, and then you can get the discs in 2 inches, ½ inch, colors, all the things. And so then that's such a great way. So who asked the question about the adhesive?
Let me see. I lost it.
Buried some way, sorry.
We have so many questions that I can't get back to them. So
And Kari's the fastest typer ever.
If we miss your question, we will come back to it, and we will also be, we're going to be doing these every Tuesday. So if we don't get your question answered today, we have a running list of questions, and we'll make sure that we get to them.
Yes, and then also make sure you check on just Facebook, because we can answer them, typing them, or shooting a quick little video or something like that too. So my point with this, with the adhesive, is that this is in this book, it has adhesive on it, and it's really not causing me problems. I think that this is low tack enough. I really am very satisfied with this product. This is a very, 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 very good one. So I hope that answers the question. If you need any more clarification, let me know. I'm a big fan of the way those books for storing stencils too.
And someone asked about cleaning your stencils, and we have a video. We just filmed a video at Patty's house, and so we have that coming up very soon on our YouTube
Couple
page,
more weeks,
our
I
YouTube
think.
channel. So
Yeah.
keep your eye out for it, and we'll make sure that we post all of our videos to our Facebook page once they go live on YouTube.
Yeah, and then if you hit the subscribe, so like I garden and I cook and I do all the things. Like I'm an active learner, I guess you could say. And I will absolutely just go ahead and subscribe to things and then hit that bell if it's something that I'm avidly interested in. So if you're avidly a stencil fan, give us a heart. But better than that, go find us on YouTube and make sure that you can access all this education because we have so many projects, so much stuff. Okay, over the top of this with some of the electric yellow. Let me get that straight on there. And make sure if your paint colors are coming out of your jar separated, make sure you shake them because they will not cover at all if you do that. Okay, so we're gonna go swirl right over the top. I'm just gonna do the F and the A and then we can get started on the varnishing and finishing. All right, what are you guys eating for lunch today?
We've been planning our lunch since before we started.
We were like, oh, it's noon, we're gonna be starving. So we are heading to sushi. All right, so I'm gonna do a second coat on the black. Remember the top has no undercoat and the bottom has the undercoat. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have. I think you will find this a very helpful lesson for future projects. Okay, so if you can see here, on the white, it's actually fairly even. This is transparent and I can see through it. This is way better going on that dark color. White, I feel like I would go with just your straight yellow. If it was a dark color like a blue or any of those kinds of things, I would absolutely do the undercoat. So, and that's just something that has a milkiness to it. You want to like something grayed down or whited down. So that is our undercoating lesson. I hope that you guys found it very interesting. And now let's talk about varnishing.
Yep, and a couple of you, so there are some questions that have been asked that I'm going to save and that we are going to do full lessons on. One of them is about sanding techniques.
Oh, nice.
And how it can kind of change the look of your project depending on what you use. So we'll talk about that. And then someone asked about erasing mistakes with red especially. So I did a video on testing out the erasers a couple weeks ago, but we will definitely do a lesson on erasing and how to fix your mistakes and
I will be
to do that.
drinking jingle juice. Cheers. Okay, and then we're also gonna point out a couple of ways that you can hang your signs at the very end.
Oh, good, Peggy just asked that.
Good, yay, Peggy. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about finishing options. I'm using this whiteboard. This is one of our new Merry and Bright signs. If you want this to be just clear and bold colors, then you will use the non-brown wax that I'm going to talk about in a second. If you wanted to antique it or distress it and warm it up a little bit, then you would use the brown. So let me show you what that looks like. And I'm splitting it so that you can see the difference. I'm using a Minwax product. We'll put the links in there. Special Dark is this one. This one is not readily available in any stores that I've found. So we order that one online all the time. And it's not something that we want to ship out because, I don't know. Anytime you start getting into petroleum-based things, I don't like it. All right, so I'm using nitrile gloves. And I'm putting gloves on. You don't have to put them on both hands. I'm just doing it because I'm probably going to be messy. So I'll go clear first. We just keep this little sponge, it's a sea sponge, in here, and then we just roll that around in your pasty wax material until you get some on there, and then you just buff that on, and you seal it down with that wax. You can do your edges and your back. And wax is actually considered a really hard finish. Once it dries and cures, it's a really hard finish. So that is what that looks like. It's nice and clean. And then I've got, excuse me, a Scott towel. This is the lint-free Scott in a big bag kind of box kind of thing. And what I would do is I would buff that just to get off any excess, and you can kind of see that it looks like it's a color, but it looks really white on here. So now we'll go into special dark. If I had a country project, something with really warm tones, something that maybe things aren't meshing right, I would use the special dark. It really adds just a little oomph to things. Okay, so I've got that. And then this is what this looks like on here. So you can see that just marries colors together. Just gonna do half just so we can see. Cover that back up. And this is what we use in all of our workshops in our boutique here in town. Everybody uses the waxes. It's super non-messy. We don't have drips. We don't have to have fine brushes. You just use the sponge. So I can back this down really far and wipe most of it off, or I can just gently go over it and leave it in a stronger look. Okay, so that's kind of some ways you can control that.
We just got a really good comment from Denise. Denise said that
Denise.
she took a class with you years ago.
Denise, what's your last name?
Van Newkirk.
Yes.
I hope I said that right. But she said
Hello.
that you use that you guys use the adhesive during that class, and she said the stencil is still sticky.
Oh my God. I had a pile of like glued together stencils. So like I paint one thing and then I move on to the next thing, you know, and unless it's snowflakes or buffalo check and stuff like that. I would take it from my painting table, and then I'm a slightly sloppy crafter when I'm storing things. And so I would put it behind me on the credenza thing behind me. And it just kind of made a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger stack. And it was like a big glue pile. And that's when I realized this is done. I can't reuse them. I can't get them apart, you know, and all that stuff. So, okay. So I don't want this one. I want this guy. Okay. So we've done some beautiful, this is buffalo plaid behind. So such a great technique. We just stippled a little snow around it, and then we layered in some snowflakes. And then this is one of our Christmas countdowns, and this has a little magnet on it where you can just slide it along and move the date. So I think this is just a lovely thing for the little grandkids and stuff like that. This does have a little magnet on the back, so you want to make sure that little kids don't get at that, okay? All right, so I think one of the neatest things about varnishing is how it wakes up the paint colors. I think that's the neatest thing. So I'm gonna pour out some varnish. I'm just using Deco Art. We also do use the Rust-Oleum polyurethane. This is also a polyurethane. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, sorry about that. These both are good for if you're going to store your projects outside. So the wax works. I've got a project that I've had out by my house for 5 years. But these varathanes, polyurethanes, are really good for protecting the colors and the paint. With this, we have got some options. We can brush it on with my very favoritist flat brush, or this is oval glaze. It's tapered this way, and then it also is tapered this way, and it makes a perfect little point here, and it splays out huge. So let me show you that first, because it is one of my favorite varnishing tools. Biggest complaint, and I'm not sure who asked the question this week on Facebook, they get a lot of dripping on their edges when they're varnishing, and so then it makes it clean up a bear. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to start here. Look at what that did to those colors. Rusty, can you get that close up? That is, like, that has changed the entire project and made it alive. Okay, you have to keep moving when you're using a liquid, because if not, you get pull marks, and that is really, really important. So you have to kind of go fast. So you have to kind of feel confident in what you're doing. And I also use a generous amount, but when I'm coming to the edge, I flick my brush up and lift. So you see I'm kind of going in a little circle, and then I turn my project to finish that run coming the other way, Now see, I'm already getting pull marks because I'm talking my paint dry. So I'm going to refresh that with more varnish and not talk so much.
Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. I have a lot. We have so many questions, guys. We are not
Washing brush.
We are not going to be able to answer all your questions today. We are going to go back and answer some in the comments.
But we are going to send everybody that asks a DIY question a free stencil. So stenciling, finishing, painting question.
Do we ever use spray varnishes?
Yes, absolutely. On the example of, I forgot to even say. So if I was painting with chalk, which is what I made this on, you could not brush varnish this. You would have to use a matte spray varnish. And then I left this area blank so that I can erase that. And a matte varnish isn't shiny, so the chalk should still stick. If it doesn't stick, a little bit of a light sanding to give it some tooth will allow you to keep writing on that. So yes, a mist. And when you spray varnish, you want to go like this way, all the way down, and then I'll do the sound effects, this way. Okay, so you want to go in both directions because you're going to get different coverage, and that'll complete your coverage. It doesn't wake the color up as much as doing a poly varnish. A matte just keeps it like exactly how it is.
How long does it take to harden and cure the wax? That's from Nancy.
A day, and if you put it in the back of your car, it's going to stink up your car. So you want to use like the safety precautions on the back of this. Do a well ventilated room. Don't be vaping it, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm going to take these. Well, no, I'm not going to take these off because I do have my surprises coming up. Okay, you can also varnish with a poly brush. Okay, difference in the poly brushes. You want to make sure with your poly brushes when you put them in your water to soak them. I'm going to take this one off. Hand is sweaty. Okay, if my glasses are sweaty, hang on. I gotta have
it up today, guys.
Sweat patrol. Okay, here we go. So there's some little nuggets of little dried bits. I will find myself standing at my painting table and just pulling those off, and then your brush is still usable. But that is caused by paint drying on the tip. So you've got to make sure that the nose of this brush gets pushed down into that water. So I'm going to use one that doesn't have that for the varnishing. I'm going to pick up some varnish and then just go that way. Now, say you want, so I'm going to flip off the edge, same technique. And I'd say 2 coats of varnish is a good amount. I'm going to go all the way to the middle of this just to make it even. And then I'll turn it around. Notice I'm not moving slowly. I don't usually move slowly anyway.
We have 2 questions about the wax.
Into the water.
Both from Bonnie. Bonnie wants to know if you can use the wax on outdoor items.
Yep.
And is the wax food safe, which leads into...
This wax is food safe. So if you're going to be painting for your kids, your grandkids, any of that, this is Clapham's these and salad bowl wax. This is meant for salad bowls. This wax does things for wood surfaces that you would not believe. It is magic. And it's super creamy. I love this wax. You can use floor wax, you know, if you want to. So you're gonna have to do some testing. These are things that we've used that we know work, and yes, they work outside. I use this to do the distressing and you use it under the paint, you paint over the top and it sands away. The harder waxes don't do that as well, so I like this for that and for food safeness if I'm doing a tray.
Yeah.
If I'm doing baby toys, gifts for kids that they're gonna touch, a Santa tray with like cookies for Santa, that kind of thing. We've got some stencils on the website, I think, about that.
Yes.
And, you know, I made a cute bowl for like fall nuts and stuff like that, that we, as a family tradition, we just crack those things open and have it on the coffee table and do that. So this has been used inside of that bowl. So it's nice to have it around. It lasts for ever, as far as I know. So that hopefully answers that. And now let's do a little bit more varnishing. Okay, we're gonna go here. You didn't know there were so many ways to varnish. Okay, we are gonna pull out Mr. Magic Roller. You wanna make sure it rolls really free. I'm gonna pour out just a little bit more. I would pull this out when I had a big project that I didn't want to have pull marks on because this will let you go.
Asked about that.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. But I wouldn't pull it out for every little project because they're just a pain to wash. You've gotta go under the sink and like almost like you're milking a cow or something. So then we just push on that. Okay, and get a nice even coat. I go back over it, because see how that sucks up the varnish? I think that's very important difference too. It's gonna eat your product up a little bit more. So then, it's ridgy and bumpy. If anybody's ever done this before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it does a very good job of not going over your edge. And next I'm gonna tell you how to do your edges. But now I'm gonna go right back over that with less pressure, and that flattens out all of the little bumpies. Okay, and then what do we do with this roller now that it's all wet and gonna harden, because the varnish is gonna harden like a rock?
Is the varnish water-based from Lynn?
It's a darn good varnish. Defog my glasses. Water-based, permanent soap and water cleanup, and for indoor and outdoor. I will tell you a fun story. I did, never ever ever, if you're gonna hang projects outside, never use satin varnish outside, because when the sun hits the sign or the thing or the artwork outside, it will reflect at you and it will blind you and you won't be able to tell what the art is. So that is a super good tip. These are fold top bags, and I use these for storing my roller in while I'm waiting to maybe varnish the next thing. Because they don't have a zipper, that means that they don't have like that folded, lots of extra bulk where the zipper is. So that makes them nice and airtight. And so drying paint and drying varnishes is oxidation. That means that it's come in contact with air. And so that means that that is how it's going to dry, is by oxidizing. So if you remove the air, then you remove the drying, and that means you don't wreck your stuff.
Okay, I have a couple more varnishing questions, and then we'll
Please,
answer
I'm
the rest.
excited. There's so many good questions.
I hate varnish. This is from Susan. I hate varnishing with poly brushes. How do I not get air bubbles using them?
With the rolling brush, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, she said poly brush.
The foam brush or the roller?
I don't know that I can get down to the
Yeah. So if you're watching for the answer, if you can clarify which way that is. The bubbles and the foaming, I think, is just going back over it, and then I think on the foam brush, you just continue to brush until it looks right.
And then, do you sand in between coats of varnish?
You can. There is, which video did we do that had all of the fine, I don't remember which video it is, but we covered this like extensively, how to elevate your project. If you're a beginner, you can elevate your project and make it feel so good. And that is, you varnish and then you sand a little bit and you do that. I don't remember. I paint so many things, I can't remember them all.
No, it was the painting with tile stencils.
There we go. All right, so I'm gonna go over here and grab my next secret weapon, is this little sponge. And this is just the same sponge that we were using in these. And I'm gonna grab another glove. I will not be able to get this glove on my other hand with all the sweat that's in it. These fit me very good. Okay, this is a really cool technique. I think you're gonna dig this ridiculously. Oh my goodness.
Teresa wants to know, if you use a satin varnish by mistake, can it be sanded down to recoat with a matte?
You can go matte over. You can change your slicks, if you will. So you can lightly sand. Okay, so I kept this sanding disc out so that we could talk about this. I wouldn't go in with anything with grit with the varnish. If you go in with something that has a high grit, then you're gonna carve through the varnish and carve into your project. So this is a 60 grit?
That's a 60.
Yeah, 60 grit. And it's very smooth. And then we also have...
That's a 120.
Or 120?
Oh, it's the opposite.
Is it the opposite?
Yeah, it's the opposite. 60 is the crunchy one, and this is the smooth, and this is the 120. Sorry about that.
Oh, I thought that was sorry.
And we also have these little sanding discs, and they are super fine. So you could go right over the top of your varnish with a super fine one. A little bit more grit will take down the sheen, and then you go over with your matte. Okay.
Okay, so Susan said she was asking about the foam brush.
Okay. Yeah, the foam is just, honestly, you're getting bubbles with the foam brushes. So I'm trying to think if I can replicate that. Let me show this one and then we'll go back and talk about that one. So this is just a round sea sponge. You just pick up your varnish and then, let me move sponges. So, and I wanna say, like, look at, this is just a piece of lumber. How cute to take your stencils and make a cute little quick project for somebody that they can stand on their shelf and you can say, I love you and I care for like the price of a piece of lumber. Like recycle stuff, use your ends, all that. Okay, so this, watch how simple this is. Get my sleeve out of the way. You can brush it. There you go, done. Ta-da! This is such a fast and wonderful way to varnish. You can apply these finishes, you can apply all of your finishes. This works amazingly well. And if you're going onto your edges, let's go on to this little guy. And by the way, if your project feels cold, you're not cured yet, and this one's still cold. So I'm gonna go, cold means your paint is wet. I'm gonna put this into a separate bag.
And
I don't think I can get this in that water to stay underneath, so I'm gonna bag it.
And the small brush, or the paint and varnish sponge that she has in her hand, it's super cheap. It's like $1.50.
Yeah.
And we have individual ones that we keep in individual things.
And it also base coats really well too. Like it makes a really fast base coat. It's easier to clean up than the roller and it doesn't eat as much product. So it's a really nice tool. I love this product. Okay, so let's go. I'm gonna show you how to do your edges and I'm gonna answer that question about the foam brushes.
We had someone else say that they get bubbles with their foam brushes.
I think I might know. Are you using soap to clean it? It's possible if you use soap to clean your brushes. You don't need to use soap at all. Some of that little sudsing can be in there. So I haven't had that experience, so I think it might be. I'm wondering if it's how you clean. Okay, to get your edges, we're gonna go just right here. And I'm just gonna do just the very tip. See how that's cut? It has an angle on it, so it just makes the perfect little finisher right there. Okay, and here's my back, no bleeding, and there's the front, no bleeding. So that's just a nice little cheapy thing, way to do that. And I also, when I make a mess, I always leave my edges uncolored. The laser burning that's on the edge of them is just nice and dark and nice and finished, but if I slop on them, that's how I patch, with like a dark brown. So that goes in there. And then you can also use your dauber. And you can just dab, just like that. So if you don't feel like you have as much control with your foam brush, then these daubers are really great. Now you're gonna wanna clean this out really good, and the way that you clean these is under your running water is trickling here, right? You just push on it against your palm of your hand, and then that will rinse out clear. And I'm gonna bury this guy in this water.
Susan says she thinks that she did use soap.
Yeah, I think it's a soap thing. Yeah, I think I've seen that in workshops and things that I've done. So let's just look really quick. I need a darker surface. Hang on a second. We'll just go on the top of this red that we used and check for bubbles. We definitely don't use soap here. Okay, so we're gonna go here. Yeah, nice and clean. And you could, if you wanted to, you could use like a damp one of these. So I would get it wet in clean water, squish it out, and that dampness will make your varnish stretch further without the pulling. Pulling is one of the things that I have fought forever because I talk too much. All right, and then smooth it out really quick. Yeah, that's working really well. No soap when you're cleaning your brushes either. Don't use soap for any of the cleanup. It's just not needed. Okay, I'm trying to think if there are more things. Make sure that you have
asked your questions.
Make sure that you're hearting us. Thank you very much. And then go to YouTube.
Yeah, go to YouTube.
Go to YouTube and subscribe.
And hit the bell, because this project with the church is going to be live on Saturday morning. You won't want to miss it when you get up on Saturday morning.
How to hang projects.
How to hang.
That's what it was.
I have it on my list. But Saturday morning this will be on so that you can watch it while you drink your coffee.
Yeah.
And
I don't think it's a very long one. I think it's one of the things that you guys asking us about cleaning up the YouTube videos so that when you go back and watch it, it's not distracting because of all the chitter chatter and the questioning and all that. So when you go to do this, I think when we were filming, it went from like my videos generally are about an hour long, and I think it brought it down to like 40 minutes or something like that. So we took out 20 minutes of time suck, you know. So I think that's going to be really beneficial when you're wanting to paint something along with us. Okay. Last thing we're going to talk about, so get those questions in so that you get a free stencil. Everybody's getting free stencils if you're asking questions. Okay, how to hang things. This has been a really common question for us. We paint on MDF a lot, okay? So it's a nice MDF board. How in the heck do you hang it on your house? Like, how do you use these things? So let's do it. What we do around here is we use command strips. And we actually cut these. So you take your little skizzer, and we cut them into smaller pieces, and then we just reuse them. So if you take the back of your board and you glue it on, okay, get that one there. Boop. These are important questions. Go there, okay. And then what you do to line it up on your wall is you connect these guys. If you put these on the wall first, it's going to be really hard. Now you could do that actually. You could do it either way. I'm being silly.
You could put them on.
You put them both on the wall or both on your project, and then you peel this little dude up. I did not know this trick until like Kari taught me, so I would be the one that was doing the goofy things and things were on the wall crooked and all of that. Okay, so you peel that off, and then you walk over to your wall, and you push it where you want it. Okay, so that's how you do that.
And a lot of times when I do it, I'll attach them together, but I won't push it all the way.
Just
so that
gently.
When you push it against the wall, you'll hear that crunch, and you'll know that it's really on there.
Yeah, and then like with this guy right here, when we were hanging these up here so that we could have our Christmas scenes, like after I push it on the wall and I feel like I gently push it so I can still move it if I need to, then I pound on it. This is sound effect day. Okay.
We're gonna save those.
Yeah. Bloop, bloop, bloopers. Okay. You can also take some of our, not very many of our things come pre-drilled. This is the one that does. Our tag shape comes pre-drilled. So you can take those and you can attach some rope in a cute little thing. You could add a bow, hang it on the nail on your house or wherever in your house. So just doing some rope and things. We found these fabulous little D-hook things. So these screw onto your project. I guess it would go that way. They come with the screws, and they came in a pack this big, and it's like $10 or something like that. It's like so cheap.
Yeah,
and what's really cool,
it has 100 pack. It's a 100 pack for $19.70.
Oh, so it's $20. But you can fit big heavy ribbon like this inside this, and then you can hang from ribbon on the back of your projects. So you can make it really, really, really decorated, and looks really good. And then they make a, what's that thing Dustin was talking about? The drill guide. Drill guide. So we have a little drill press that we'll put in the links.
Yes, I have the drill.
And it's like $100. And you just, it's like this big, and you just pull the little lever and it just drills a perfect little hole. Or you can get the little drill guide and use a drill gun, and make sure that you're putting like your project, if you're doing a drill guide, on top of another board that you can ruin and not on your dining room table.
Yeah.
So make sure that you watch that.
Well, and if I can use the drill press, anyone can use the drill press.
Yeah.
That's when we were talking about it yesterday. We said, well, even Kari can do it. Glennis says that she super glues pop tabs to the back of hers to hang. So then it's like a homemade D-ring.
That's a homemade. Oh my God,
Great
Brenna,
idea.
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Great idea.
Now, do they hold? I'm gonna try that. I've got a brand new, can you reach that product right back there, the super glue in the bag with the rubber band?
Yep.
Just got this product just the other day, and this is a knot filler. And I don't know that Kari has these links yet.
I don't have those ones yet.
Get my glasses. This is a very sad situation. Hang on. Okay. So this stuff, this has got a thick gap filler. It's Star Bond, and it's slower flow and curing than regular super glue. And then it has an accelerator that you can spray on it to make it instantly dry. So once you have it where you want it, you've cleaned it up and done some things, you can accelerate the drying. So we're excited to try that.
Glenna says that it holds for years.
That's so cool, Glenna. Awesome.
And I'm going to share a link. So I've shared a link for everybody for all of the things that are on our website that we've talked about today, some of the sponges and brushes. I'm also going to share, we did a blog post that has all of our Amazon links. So anytime we add a new Amazon link, we update it so you guys can go through. And with the Amazon links, we're Amazon affiliates. We wanted to make one place that you can go to that we, for things that we don't sell, and you can go to one place and see all of our favorite tools. It's so easy.
Yeah.
And we'll just have a complete list of all the things that we love.
Yeah. And they do like, if you buy something, they give you like pennies or something like that. But we just do it so it's easier for you. Anytime we bought a travel trailer last year, and I've got like, I don't know how many saved favorites because I've never done it before, you know, so we've been learning to do that. And I have got so many Amazon store links and all of that stuff from those people so I can get the exact product that I want. This is an example of drilled with just like, you drill it with a drill press and then you hang you a little string.
Yes, and you want to drill it before you paint it.
You can drill it after.
You can? Okay.
Yeah. If you're scared and you think you're going to screw it up, drill it first. But I have I've done 700 projects that we published and done packets and all these things on, and I always drill them after.
Okay. It's not going to mess up the paint.
Doesn't mess it up.
Okay.
It doesn't even chip it or anything. The paint is hard when it's done. Paint dries really hard. I think those are all our techniques and things. Don't forget to look at the things we got on the back wall. They're really cute.
Yes, and I'll share links for those. I'm going to be sharing links on this feed this afternoon.
Yeah.
Some different things that we just want to make sure you have all the things here that we've talked about. And if you have any specific links that you want, be sure to leave them in the comments and we can send those directly to you.
All right, so on that note, I am so glad that you guys joined us. Please let us know with a heart or with a comment or something that if you like this format, what you like about it. We're good with if you don't like it, tell us. That's the feedback is how we grow. It's how we give you guys what you want. We're here for you. We want you guys to be happy crafters. And so I'm going to give Kari a little cheers. And we're going to see you guys later. And happy crafting and happy jingle juicing.
Have a great day.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.